Hello, my name is Jim Roberts. I'm host of Senior Living in Alexandria. This is a monthly program that's put on by Senior Services of Alexandria, and it's intended to provide useful information and services not just to seniors, but to family, friends, caregivers, service providers, all those that might be dealing with or working with seniors in the Alexandria community. Our goal is to provide very useful information, and today, what better information could you get than from the library? I'm pleased that the guest today is Sam Palmieri. She's the branch manager at Charles Beatley Central Library, and she's here to tell us about the many, many programs that the library has to offer in general. It's not just a place for books anymore, but it's where you get information, but also in terms of how that directly relates to seniors. So Sam, it's delightful to have you here. Glad to learn from you today. And to get started, tell us a little bit about your background and how you wound up at Charles Beatley Library, please.
So librarianship isn't my first career. I was employed by Children's Hospital of Philadelphia as a child life specialist for about 10 years. To do that, I got my master's in human development and child development. In that role, I worked really hard to make sure children and their families understood in a developmentally appropriate way what happens in the hospital. So if they had questions, making sure that they understood their diagnosis and treatment and procedures that were going to happen. I also worked to ensure that children's development wasn't hindered by the hospital. One of the things that I loved best about being a child life specialist was connecting children and their families with information. When I started to feel a little burned out with that and did some soul searching about what other careers could be for me, it really was that information, connecting the families with information that really drew me to librarianship.
And so how long have you been in the library system?
So I've worked for Alexandria Library for about 7 years. I got my MLS, and actually while I was getting my master's, was a volunteer at the Barrett branch located on Queen Street. So I volunteered there for about a year before I was hired part-time with the Alexandria Library. Since then, I've moved through several positions and was promoted to branch manager.
You've worked your way up to the branch manager. What's the span of your responsibilities? What are you in charge of? Everything, creating programs, information, and I think it would help give a little bit of a glimpse of the programs, because they're not just the libraries of years ago. They're very complex information organizations. You were right in making this selection given your child life work previously.
So I manage Beatley Central, which is the central branch of the Alexandria Library. It's one of 6 physical branches, and then we have one 7th branch, which is our website. So it's the largest of the branches. I'm also the system's only librarian so I'm the lead librarian for the system. I oversee all of the work that happens at Beatley Central, and then work with all of the other managers system-wide to create programming like our All Alexandria Reads, One Book, One Community program, summer reading, and other system-wide efforts.
There's a long list of things you do in the library. What are some of those things that people can come to the library for?
Sure. I think the thing that people think of first is sort of the customer service, the face-to-face, what books are in the building, how they find materials, that sort of traditional view of librarianship, a building that houses books, audiobooks, DVDs. But libraries now are so much more than that. We host programs daily for all ages, babies through seniors. We are not just what's held in the building, but we have online resources, things like e-books, e-audiobooks, things that people don't necessarily think of, but we have services for customers to check out electronic music, movies to stream into their homes, and even magazines that they can read on their tablet or phone. We have online classes, all different kinds of opportunities for people to grow throughout their lifespan. So certainly you think of libraries and you think of elementary schoolers, high schoolers, but we really see that there's opportunities for people to learn and grow throughout their life. So lots of technology classes, we've had cooking classes in the past, lots of opportunities to learn new skills, build hobbies. We understand that people are often looking for more than just either their work. And so opportunities to connect with other community members, screen films, all kinds of things, book discussion groups. one of the ways that we work to remain vital in our community is through issuing passports. We have partnered with the State Department and our location where customers can come and submit passport applications for new passports. We offer proctoring services. The law library does notary service. The list goes on. And it's really, a lot of that is accessible 24 hours a day on our website. So even when the doors are closed, so much of what we offer is available to customers.
That's very broad ranging. How do you go, is there a process by which you identify? Is it based on demand from customers saying, we really think this would be a great library service, would you think about it? Or is it more that the group of you envision, what do other libraries do, what can we do, how can we have better service, or is it both?
It's really all of that. We do routine needs assessments to really see what the community wants on a very formal way through focus groups and surveying.
Okay.
We also take very seriously the feedback that we get from customers when they're walking in the building, everything from books that they think we should add to the collection through programs they think we should provide. And then we really do a lot of benchmarking. We go to conferences and get trainings to really think about librarianship in the future and where librarianship is going and how we can move along with it too.
If you had unlimited budget, unlimited time, what would be the next thing that you'd like to take on?
Oh goodness, so many things.
A wish list.
Yeah, I think that we do an amazing job offering ESL classes and try to offer as many ESL classes as we can. Certainly English learning is really important in Alexandria.
Sure.
I'd love to see more citizenship classes. I would love to see more social workers on staff dealing with the issues of housing insecurity and those that affects everyone throughout their lifespan. I'd love to see more small business resources to really bolster small businesses in Alexandria who can't necessarily afford to buy certain products or equipment for themselves. More opportunities for creativity and making. The list could really go on and on.
I'm impressed with what you already do, but I'm also impressed with what you'd like to do. So that's pretty ambitious. We have to go to a break in a minute, but I have a question. What is Le Tour d'Alexandria? What is that?
So Le Tour d'Alexandria is an annual bike ride that we do.
Oh, okay.
So it started as a way to connect the community through bicycling to the branches so that they learn more about where the branches are and what they offer. It's really expanded, and now that it's more of a historical thing. We certainly show off the branches as well, but this is the 225th anniversary of the library, of Alexandria Library. So this year they'll be highlighting and featuring some of those things.
So what do you do on the tour?
So it's basically the equivalent of a walking tour, but on a bicycle. So there's a guide that's a library staff member that goes from place to place and shares historical knowledge and information about those locations.
Has the Tour de France contacted you in terms of putting an educational component to that race? Not yet.
They haven't yet, but we'd certainly be interested.
All right. We're going to have to go to a break. Hang on, and we'll talk about seniors when we come right back. So thank you. We'll be back. Once again this month, I'm here with the world-famous dietitian and nutritionist, Madison Reeder, and she's has a special recipe for us today. I think it's something, well, they're all good, but this one's going to be especially good. Madison, what do we have today?
Oh yes, today we are making amazing no-bake peanut butter cookies.
Amazing.
These are phenomenal, and like I said, they're no-bake, so they're really simple to whip up last minute if you have family and friends coming around, need something that's delicious, but also has a little bit of nutrition in it as well.
Okay, well let's get started, and I see you have some ingredients here. What are we going to do today?
Absolutely. So we're going to start with our base of these cookies, which will be oats.
Good for us.
So you can use any type of oat that you can buy in the grocery store.
Okay.
I chose Quaker oats. But what's really special, we've used these a bunch in the past. They're high in fiber, which is good for your heart, and fiber also helps to keep you full when you're eating.
Okay.
So a lot of times cookies have flour as their base, and while that's great too and has lots of other different nutrient properties, these will help to keep you more full than a traditional fiber or a flour would in a cookie.
Okay.
So we'll add those to our bowl.
How much of those?
That is about 1 1/4 cup.
1 1/4 cups.
Yep.
Okay.
Next thing we're going to add, I'm going to reach across you here, is some peanut butter.
I
so
see.
we've got about a 1/2 cup of peanut butter here. We're going to add that, and that's going to be kind of the glue that keeps our base.
I noticed that's
together.
smooth. Would you do this with crunchy or keep it smooth?
I wouldn't, but you definitely could. If you wanted to do a crunchier cookie, you certainly could. I'm using this Simply Jif peanut butter. I always recommend, thank you very much, a natural peanut butter if you can find it. There's Jif Naturals, there's this one, there's lots of other brands that do natural peanut butters. And what that means is that it doesn't have any added sugars to it. It's just the peanuts, maybe a little bit of salt, and that's all there is to it. So what we'll do is, sort of with our scraper here, we'll start to
blend that in with the oats?
Kind of blend it in, yeah. And what you can do is sort of just mash it together, and you'll see not all the oats stick and like that. And that's okay that they don't all stick. Just going to try to give it a little bit of a toss here before we add our next ingredient.
Okay.
So the next thing we're going to add to give it some sweetness is some honey. So you can use any kind of honey. I like to use, if you can find it, a honey that's made locally. And the reason for that is that can help with allergies, because the honey is made by bees that are pollinating in the area, so it can actually help with your seasonal allergies.
Local bees.
Yes, that's right. So we'll add that in. Just give it a little scrape with our messy spatula here, but that's okay because it's all going into the same place. There we go. And that is about a 1/4 cup or a little bit more if you want a little bit more sweet. And we'll mix that together. Really nice. See, now it's all really blending well. Nice.
This is not only no bake, but it doesn't have anything that's bad for you.
Right. It's very, very simple. Simple ingredients.
I'm feeling healthy just watching.
That's right. I like this one because I have a lot of company over at my place. Time to time, people dropping in. And this one is something I usually have peanut butter, honey, and oats in my cabinet. So very easy to whip up quickly. We're going to add just a dash, and a true dash. I'll pour it on this teaspoon here just so I don't overdo it, of vanilla. A little bit less than a teaspoon. And we'll mix that in. And then as you see, we've got something special, which I don't usually cook with candy, but we're going to add something a little bit fun here today. Some M&Ms to give it some color. Just something a little bit fun. Just a few, as many as you'd like.
Should you count those?
We could, but you know, for today, today I won't count just for you, Jim. So we'll mix those in. You see, it gives a nice ooey gooey consistency.
Colorful, yes.
Nice and colorful with the M&Ms. You could completely skip that step if you wanted to. You could add chocolate chips. You could add white chocolate chips if you wanted a different flavor. And that's what we have right there.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Next step is the easiest, probably most fun step. You take two spoons, kind of pile it on.
You're going to put that on here?
That's right. And then we're going to dump it onto our plate here. You could roll them if you wanted to, or you can just leave them just like that. Make them as big or as small as you'd like. And if you're wondering, you know, these seem really soft. How do we eat them, or how do we solidify them? You're going to put them in the fridge for a few hours before you serve them. So for our purposes today, that's all there is to it. Do you want to give them a try?
Oh, I think so.
Absolutely.
They're
ooey and gooey, but absolutely delicious.
Watch this.
I figured he could handle it.
That's good.
I know if you don't answer right away that it must be really good because you're busy
I'll be
enjoying.
Back. I'll be back in a minute.
Good, good, good. Well, thank you for having me again to give you this wonderful recipe. I hope you enjoyed it.
That was easy and simple.
Absolutely.
That was great and nutritious.
And nutritious, always.
I think you need a cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee, a glass of milk, and you're all set.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Wilson, and I'm with Aetna Better Health of Virginia. We are proud to sponsor Senior Living in Alexandria. We are a managed care organization with the state of Virginia for the Medicaid program. We work with Commonwealth Coordinated Care, which we'll refer to as CCC+. CCC+ is an integrated care model that offers additional services, which we will talk about in our future sessions. And we will talk with you monthly with Healthy Community Minutes.
Well, we're back. I'm here with Sam Palmieri, who's the branch manager at Charles Beatley Central Library, but is here to tell us, as she did in the first part of our interview, many of the services of the library system in general, and of course, which is a huge array with anticipation of maybe some new ideas that might come into that, but they've got to be very, very busy doing the ones that they have. But now we want to focus a little bit on services for seniors. So, Sam, tell us what sorts of things are programs for seniors set aside and distinct, or are they woven into all the other services, or I'm a senior and I walk in the door and I say, well, I'd like to use this library, and I've got this really old concept of a library. Tell me how you would refresh my memory and excite my involvement.
Well, of course, first I'd want to get you a library card if you didn't have one.
I need a library card.
Right?
That's granted.
So we'd get you a library card, and then we'd talk a little bit about some of the things you were interested in doing with the library. There's lots of ways to get engaged with the library on so many different levels, so I'd want to hear more about how you wanted to be involved, whether it was just simply materials and checking things out. We have great sources for customers to share books that they've loved reading and to then get suggestions that are personalized for them by our librarians, really handpicked for their reading. And then we have other ways through volunteering, and certainly if you're interested in a deeper level than that, we have each of the branches has a friends group that's really focused on both fundraising. We get budget money from the city to do the work that we do, and we have a foundation that supports the work that we do, but the friends groups raise funds that support things like our programming and materials purchases for the library.
What would a person do as a volunteer? What are your needs, or where can they be helpful?
Well, when it comes to volunteers, we really start by figuring out what that person is interested in doing.
Okay.
So we want to learn more about you and utilize those skills that you come in with and find a way to make that work in the library. Certainly we have people that help do things like shelve books, but we have people who teach ESL classes, do tutoring, we have volunteers who teach chess, handcrafts, all kinds of things. So really we look to that volunteer and their interest to sort of go from there. And then with our friends groups, some people are really just interested in advocacy. So it's a different kind of volunteer where you're not in the building, on a regular schedule every week, but you're raising funds and advocating for the needs of the library when it comes to things like budget issues with the city.
How do you relate to the Alexandria Library Company?
So the company is where the library started 225 years ago. That's how the library began, as a subscription service that then became the library company. And it had many houses over the years, even books being stored in individual members' homes during the Civil War. So the company puts on a lecture every year, a historical lecture.
Do you have any, going back to seniors, do you have any specific programs that are focused on seniors, or are they part of these many, many general programs?
I think the best answer is both. We really, for adult programming, it's really tailored to adults of all ages. But we also do things that really meet the needs of seniors, perhaps more than other adults. I think some good examples are outreach services for adults, especially seniors who are homebound. We can bring books to their home and then pick them back up again. We also work with National Library Service for our Talking Books program. So for adults and even children who are blind, physically handicapped, have reading difficulties, or even a physical difficulty where they can no longer hold a book, it's a service that through the mail provides them with special audiobooks to be returned back to us through the mail. Other ways that we do that is through community partnerships. I think that is one of the ways that we've been really successful at providing senior programming. We've done that with groups like At Home Alexandria, and then one of our biggest is through Senior Services of Alexandria, and we've put together some really great programming for seniors. In the past, we've done some cooking demos and talks about nutrition, which were very successful. We also do a monthly tour series where individuals going on the tour, seniors, come to the library, meet with a librarian and get the history, the background of that location, and then take a bus for that tour. And then one that we have coming up one that just started is Creative Connections.
Oh, yeah.
So we're really excited about that new program.
Okay. What is the program? What do you do?
So Creative Connections was designed to link seniors to nonprofit organizations in Alexandria that are doing work around the creative arts. So in October, we partnered with Upcycle, which is a creative reuse program. So people take household items, even things like the caps to baby food in, and Upcycle does workshops to take those found objects and turn them into art. So for that program, seniors made wreaths out of found objects, which was really neat. And then in November with Heard, which is Heard is it brings creative arts to marginalized community members. Oh, okay. Inmates is, I think, a really good example, a recent program with the Sheriff's Department that they did. Oh. And then December, the library is actually going to be the feature, and we try really hard to weave creative arts into a lot of our programming. So we'll be talking about some of the arts programs that we do, and then giving those in attendance an opportunity to try out some of those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know genealogy sometimes is of interest to seniors or generally everybody, but do you have any special programs for that?
Yeah, we have a genealogy discussion group that meets quarterly. We bring in special guest lecturers to talk about different areas of genealogy, things like researching military records, immigration records, things like that. We also have a branch located inside the Barrett branch in Old Town. It's called Local History Special Collections, and the staff there are just the pros at genealogy research. They're also amazing if you live in a home in Alexandria and are interested in learning more about the history of that home. Mm-hmm. They have home histories for buildings all over Alexandria. They're a great resource for tips and tricks.
How do you get word out to seniors about these programs? I mean, they should know. They should come daily.
Sure.
But how do you get word out? We're a library and we're here to provide services to you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the traditional ways that you think. We put it on our website. We put flyers around the building. I think that one of the most successful ways that we have gotten the word out is through those community partnerships. So providing our partners like Senior Services with, this next Monday we're having Brain Games, which is designed to help practice cognitive tasks, which can help stave off dementia.
Sure, right, that's great. We're almost out of time. I want to mention one thing for our audience, that on January 11th, we have a speaker series on a caregiver support workshop. These are people that are taking care of people that are disabled and need help. And so I want to be sure and remind them of that, but also urge them to come to the library and find you, and then they'll hold you accountable for all of these things you've mentioned, and you'll be busier than you've ever been in your life, and I suspect you'll have a lot of fun.
I look forward to it.
Thank you for coming in today and for all that. Well, as you say, you're in the information business. You've done a good job. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.